Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and I've been wanting to go over a lot of wrestling now that I'm off for like a couple weeks. So I'm going to try to cover as many live shows that come out. Some of them might be like the very next day, or maybe there's something from a little bit ago that I wanted to watch and wanted to cover. So hopefully I'll be able to do a pretty consistent thing. This is kind of the start of it with the AAA event that just happened Saturday night. Honestly, this was kind of a surprise because like the card was actually really stacked with a lot of WWE people, and I think the people that they had for AAA, they really do make the AAA people look good. Like when you think about like some of the partnerships, like with TNA and stuff like that, it always seems like it could be one sided. That WWE always kind of looks better, but this one sometimes I feel like it's definitely a 50-50 thing. And I know they mentioned something lightly that like Undertaker's kind of booking this, and it kind of does have an old school book to it. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing because it feels pretty decent when it comes to like, certain storylines and certain stuff that we've seen in the past, but like a fresh take on it. So let's just jump into it and we'll talk about it. So it started off with a four-way tag match. Um, this was like a little bit more fast and paced that like a normal four-way tag match where it's like only two teams active. I think they at least kind of had a little bit of like a looser structure to all of that, so we got a lot of cool things that came from it. It was La Parca and Octagon Jr. versus LWO, which is obviously from the WWE, Los Americanos, which is El Grande Americanos group, and then Mr. Iguano and is it Nino Hem? I'm not gonna be able to say his last name. The dude that wears like the hamburger stuff sometimes. Honestly, this was kind of one of those just showcase type matches. It kind of had a bunch of different stuff, some pretty decent spots altogether. I think Mr. Iguana did some really good stuff. Obviously, that LWO move where they use the bottom or like the middle rope is like kind of a jettison. I think that's kind of a cool thing. The problem with that is like unless they change up some of the stuff, it kind of gets repetitive because we've seen a lot of it. Again, I think overall for this type of match, I thought it was pretty decent. I think all the teams had some different spots in it, so I think it's kind of one of when you think about like a booked match. I really do think they did pretty solid on this, and it was like a 9 minute match, and it felt longer, but like in a good way. So I'll put it up in B. Then we had Dr. Wagner Jr. versus Ethan Page for the Latin American title. Um, Other than like the ending, this match was pretty forgettable. I really didn't expect it to be so short, but even Page cheated. He ended up winning the title, and then Mr. Iguana came down and said he cheated, and they reversed it. Never really seen that before, so that was a little interesting. And yeah, then it was just kind of a quick ending after that. Not sure why they did it so fast. A 5 minute, nearly 6 minute match just didn't feel like it was right. Both of these two kind of had a feud that's been going on for the last couple of months. I really wish this would have gotten a little bit more time. I think overall it kind of really made the match suffer, and I do kind of think this was the worst match on the card because of it. So I'll put it down in D. Other than that one entertaining spot, it's very forgettable. Then we get kind of a very interesting match. It's the Carnival of Carnage match, 8-man tag match. It was Los Psycho Circus, which is like Dave the Clown, Murder Clown, Psycho Clown, and Pagano versus the Wyatt Sick. Obviously the part of the tag team champions on SmackDown. And they had a bunch of like carnival stuff in the back. They had different little booths that they had different stuff fighting in a bounce house. If you want to just like do a match that's just like about spots that are just like iconic because it's different and all that, this match kind of checked those boxes. I wouldn't say it was the best match, like actual wrestling, but I do think it was really entertaining. I personally gonna put it in C because I just feel like the wrestling was kind of subpar, but everything else is kind of cool. I mean, fighting in the bounce house and having just a lot of those like where he's getting thrown into a booth and all that type of stuff. I think that part really hit, but it was such a like that wasn't part of the match as much as I mean like it's supposed to be like in the back, but when they actually got into the ring and wrestled, it just wasn't there. And then we get to Laredo Kid, Jack Cartwheel from Evolve and like an indie person, and then Javon Evans from NXT. This match absolutely cooked. This could literally be a match of the year contender because they just went all out. They're all three high flyers. When I saw this on the card, this is what made me watch it. I like obviously kind of wanted to see the Dirty Dom match at the end, but this is the match that I was like, I'm gonna not miss this because of this. Because I could have just watched the main event and have been happy. Obviously, I would have missed out on a lot of stuff because there was some decent stuff here, but this was the match that got me. This is obviously an S tier. The reversals, the high flyingness, everything about that. This is the match to check out. If you decide that you don't want to watch anything over the weekend and you have, what is it, 12 minutes to spare, this is the one thing you take your time out and watch out because it's online. It's the stream was fully online and free. This is the thing to do because this match was just nasty. Everything about it, every spot, every minute was not wasted, and it was just everybody showcased them, especially Jax Cartwheel. That, like, you know, he's an indie person, but he's kind of working on the Evolve, and I've been really pumping him up on Evolve reviews. This man should be at least on NXT. So, like, they need to do this after this match. Should be his guaranteed thing. They need to run Javon and Jack on NXT as soon as humanly possible as a one-on-one. I think that would absolutely cook also, and just be a great way to get Jack Cartwheel up on that main roster. But yeah, a solid S. Just really, yeah, no notes. Then we get to the only women's match on the card, a 6 women's tag match. It was is it Faba Apache, Lola Vice from WWE, Natalia from WWE versus Alox Toxanas. Now, I've never seen this group before. They all had matching outfits, but yeah, I would agree. This was a great group. Like, their wrestling I thought was, you know, pretty solid, but their look, like, that's a look that you can market and show a lot of people. They obviously were all synced up in the colors and stuff. I think that really worked out. I don't know if they really work as a trio normally or just tag team or what they do, but I want to see more of these matches. I think all of them did pretty good. Now, the match itself between this two teams, I think was okay. I really do think they suffered from not having a lot of time. It felt like there was just a couple people doing few things. Lola Vice always seems to be getting a decent chunk of the time. Not necessarily anything bad about that, but it does seem that, like, when you have like a 7-minute match and she has like 2 to 3 minutes of the stuff, that is the majority of the match. And she has, what they let her do is just a little bit more limited compared to what they could have been showing off. But I put it in C. Definitely not the worst thing I saw. But everything else about it was, you know, it definitely seemed like it could have gotten better if they would have just given everybody a little bit more of a shot and a little bit more time. Then we had Vikingo versus Dragon Lee. It's been a feud that they've been setting up. This match had a lot of times, a lot of good spots. Obviously, two are both big high flyers, which is pretty much like the entire card half the time, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's what makes Lucha so great. Dragon Lee just continues to show all what he's got. Everybody always wanted to underestimate him. That beautiful reversal into a Styles Clash against Vikingo was probably one of the best moves of the entire night. The story that they told in the ring was great. And it ended up with, Dragon Lee losing, but then almost coming down. And, yeah, that was kind of crazy. He came down and cost, Dragon Lee the match. And seeing him back is kind of always interesting. This is his second AAA show that we've seen, so I don't know if they're going to be using him here, but I'm fine with it. It seemed like it worked out pretty well. He's just a beast of a guy, so I think it helps. I put this in a solid B. I could definitely be talked into putting it a little bit higher. I think for the entertainment value, I might want to. Actually, I'm going to put it for the entertainment value and every fit in the story. I think A is pretty decent. Then we get to the main event that ended up getting changed. It was supposed to be the Lucha Bros reuniting with Penta and Rey Fenix, but Penta got hurt a couple Raws ago, so Rey Mysterio had to step in, so it just ended up being a Rey versus Dom. This is a part 3 with El Grande Americano in there. The match itself, I feel like there was Rey Fenix just absolutely killed every spot that he had. He definitely played like rent was due type of thing. He did amazing. Rey Mysterio is obviously a legend, but he's limited on that. Dom has his own things. Grande Americano did some really crazy spots like that headstand. They really just wanted to make this main event great. Ludwig is a Grande Americano is like one of those things where you just hit gold and you just don't want to mess with it because why? Like, look at this. It's working out great, but the Rays win. Rey Mysterio pins Dominic. I wouldn't be opposed to having Ray versus Dom at one of these PLEs for the Intercontinental title and having Dom finally win one. I think that would be kind of a nice fin. I don't think it's quite a Mania match, but I wouldn't mind for like Elimination Chamber or Royal Rumble. More the Royal Rumble than anything as being a match that would fit perfectly for. And then at the very end, Dom getting mad, pushing a Grande Americano, kind of pushing a Grande Americano to be a babyface now. It'll be interesting to see if they kind of hold that and if that translates to Raw also, because that could be an interesting, part to him. Does he end up being kind of a good guy? Just different stuff like that. We could possibly see, him going after Dominic for the title too, and I think that'd also be a pretty decent storyline. So this kind of could set up a lot of WWE storyline altogether. I'd put this in a solid A. I think the entertainment value and everything like story wise kind of pushes it up. If somebody put it in B, I wouldn't really fight them. But I think overall, I was pretty satisfied. And this show in general, I'm gonna put it as a high B plus. I'll put it right there. I honestly think that like if you minus the Ethan Page stuff, this could have really brought the whole thing up. And if you just let Ethan Page fight Dr. Wagner Jr., I think this would have easily made the whole average go up to A, because that match could possibly be an A or a high B. So yeah, I think that's just what it was missing. I think they just need to give the ladies more time too. I think that match could have really taken an extra gear. It's sometimes like this. It's this thing where like people don't always quite understand when you get those matches. You start to really like get settled in and like really start to like digest the match, and then they end it, and like that's a lot of what ends up making the match, at least in my eyes, not fulfilling, because it was like I was just getting into this. I was just learning the people, learning the moves, seeing what they're doing, seeing some of this like false finishers and stuff, and like it was just like, okay, well, it's over with now. So I guess, I just felt like there could have definitely been some other stuff. But overall, it's a very satisfying show. This is the first show that hopefully I'll be watching more live wrestling going on and probably rating all of them at the end. But it's a solid start, and I'm happy I tuned in. So if you haven't caught it, go catch it on YouTube. It's definitely worth it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.